Welcome back, everyone, to the next episode of the Yellow Kings podcast. At this point, I already forgot what episode we're on, but this episode, we're starting a new series on this account. We're just going to call it Shooting the Shit, in which we're just going to talk for 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes about random things and kind of just catch up with each other and just have some fun. So, I mean, shit. How's it going, Thomas? Long time no talk. It's been a week.
I know, having some separation issues, but I've been good, man. Overall, things have been going pretty well. I feel like a lot of good momentum in my life right now. Like a lot of things are moving in the right direction. Like for example, this podcast, it's done decently well on TikTok, like getting views, getting listens on like YouTube and Spotify as well. We've mentioned this previously before where, you know, Andrew and I are both kind of entrepreneurial, and my latest entrepreneurial effort, which was this coding learning platform, is called SWEprojects.com, SWE projects.com. Shameless plug. It's, you know, I launched it, I think, on a week ago. Today is May 10th. I think I probably launched it like May 1st, around then. And it started off kind of slowly, but I've actually been getting some decent revenue, like some purchases, nothing crazy. I mean, look, full disclosure, it's a $5 product, so super cheap product, hard to really build a company off of a $5 product. But essentially, it's like very high quality coding tutorials where you can create stuff like end to end, very in-depth learning. So this project the very first project I launched with was how to recreate Flappy Bird on React on your very own time and deploy it out onto the internet. It stores the high score, all of that fun stuff. $5 tutorial. I think like 10 people have purchased it. So $50 of revenue, not bad. So we have some signals going in the right direction. And, you know, now it's like a lot of different ideas of how to tweak things here and there, some levers to pull to increase conversions, new project ideas that I want to create tutorials for. But yeah, overall, things have just been moving really, really well. I feel like a lot of momentum in my work in general. So overall, pretty good. But what about you, man? How have you been?
Dude, kind of same boat. And I just want to quickly add on to what you just said. Like, honestly, $5 product, if you turn to like a subscription business, like a Leak Code, a Chegg, like, no, then you have $1 billion company right there. So who knows? Right now, I think you're selling just like a package, right? It's not a subscription yet.
We can get more into the details. Like, I'm down to post this episode for the people listening to this as well. We can build this company together with me.
We're just nerding out about it.
Yeah. I've talked too long on this. I'll come back later to, you know, we can hash out some of the details on this pod and get some feedback in the comments as well. But yeah, I want to hear more about you and like how have your things been going, man?
Honestly, I feel like I've been having a lot of momentum in my life lately as well. And I think kind of similar to you, it's been ever since we started this podcast, like things have just been kind of going well in my life. You know, I really enjoy doing this podcast. I think it's a lot of fun just kind of shooting the shit, talking about things. But like everything's been doing well. Like I'm back on TikTok. I'm creating content again. I just signed like a big brand deal that I thought I would never sign that price. So very happy about that. It was the company I was telling you about. And another contract from my agency yesterday. So that's been very exciting as well. I have another sales call tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. And I'm just having fun lately. I've been having fun creating content. Because of you gave me the idea to start like my new account talking about like growing on social media. I've been doing that. Okay, that's the only thing that hasn't been doing like phenomenally well. But at the same time, like I'm not too worried about that.
Early.
Just like, it's early, and it's if it doesn't work out, I'm not like crying either. It's like a bonus at this point. Like if that thing works out very well. Also, like I'm targeting like a super niche audience as well. For those of you guys who don't know, I'm basically starting a new TikTok, Instagram / YouTube Shorts account in which I talk about how to grow on social media and basically like as like a content career. So guys like me and Thomas, you know, we talk about like, he talks about software engineering, I talk about investment banking. So like any other like yuppies out there that want to learn how to grow on social media as a career content creator, go ahead, go follow Maiming Socials on all platforms. I'm going to be digging very deep into everything I did. I'll probably interview Thomas as well, talk about things he did that worked very well on like his accounts. And overall, I think it's going to be super valuable. I don't know how I plan to monetize it yet. I don't even know if I want to monetize my audience, but definitely like I'm using it as like a top of the funnel for like my agency to kind of attract more clients. That's a definite monetization strategy I'm going for. But I always just been icky about like selling courses and mentorships. I don't know about you. Like it always felt weird. Like, okay, I done it. I'm not against it. I think it's great. I bought mentorships, I bought courses, but it always just been kind of like something I couldn't wrap my head around. Like it always felt icky to me. I don't know if you feel the same way.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel the same way. And for those of you that don't know, my main content, my main account on social media is like software engineer, influencer account, and I used to do selling like
Influencer.
resume templates. Yeah, influencer, and I used to like sell resume templates, like coding interview guides and stuff like that. And I think my issue there was the fact that like I understand why people do it. I don't knock it if you do it. Like let's be real. We're all
Yeah.
most of us, maybe like probably 99.999% of us are on social media to like make a quick bag or something, make some money, get a side hustle going. I'll say it as it is. And I think if that's what you're trying to do and you want to do that through career consulting or stuff like that, totally cool. But I think for me, I think Andrew and I we've talked about this. It just feels kind of predatory at times, at least for the software
Yeah.
engineering industry, just because it's so glamorized. Like, you can do it. You can be a developer in 2 weeks. It's super easy, and it just feels like really predatory. And I just didn't want to feed into that industry. So I stopped offering direct career consultation stuff and just started offering all of that for free. Although I know I mentioned earlier in this pod about how I created SWEprojects.com, and it's still like some educational thing, but it's less so heavily career based, and it's more so just like learn how to create a cool project. And I don't know, in my mind, I feel like that feels less predatory than like career coaching,
Yeah.
or specifically like software engineer interview stuff, just because it's like you're preying on the brains of these people that are so insecure and desperate for a job, especially in this market right now. And I feel like that makes me feel kind of icky. And I feel like teaching
Yeah.
somebody how to build a project, on the other hand, you're not really preying on their insecurity. It's more so, hey, if you want to learn how to do this, then you can do it. Although, you can make the argument saying like, oh, you want to learn how to build this project to get a job. But I'm really trying my best to like not angle it that way. Just being like, hey, you can learn for whatever reason you want to learn. Most cases, will it be a job? Yes, but it's like a less direct lineage. I don't know. I'm kind of word vomiting. Maybe I'm just trying to justify myself that it's like not bad. It's an okay business. I don't know. I think education in general is a tricky business to be in, and I have a lot of thoughts about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, me too. But honestly, like you can just say like you're the back end of the business, right? It's like you're
Yeah.
basically helping the people who are already sold on the industry by other guys who are like selling this day in the life of a software engineer at Google. 10 a.m., grab
Yeah.
coffee. 2 p.m., take a nap. Some bullshit
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. I think maybe that was my issue. The fact that I think earlier on, and actually someone in the TikTok comments called me out, being like, dude, Toyon's brand, Your Average Tech Bro's brand, it's all about X Google, X Google, X Google. And I agree.
Oh, yeah.
In the beginning, it totally was, but that was mostly just to like play that game. It's like you need to have some appeal to authority for normal, everyday people to watch you.
100%.
So, of course, obviously, I did that to play the game, and I think earlier on, with that being the majority of the brand, it does kind of feel more like preying in on those people, being like, you want to be like me, more aspirational content, right? Like get a job at XYZ fan company. But now I've switched my brand a lot more, just to be like general software engineering, less career focused, just like building stuff in general. So I think it's at least a little bit better. I don't know. I have no
Yeah.
idea.
I'm so glad you just brought that up. Actually, the whole thing about the comments and stuff. I want to talk about this real quick. All right, number one, I got a very similar comment as well. So let's talk about hate comments real quick.
Yeah,
So I got a
yeah.
similar comment in which this guy was like, this guy did a year and a half in investment banking and this whole personality now. All right, guys. Number one, I want to say everyone's entitled to their own opinions. That's number one. Okay. Number two, dude, we're just all out here. We're trying to play the game. Like we know. Okay, number one, like when I read some of these comments, I started to get a little offended and pissed off, like when I was reading them. But then, cause like they piss me off, cause they're just like, dude, look at these guys just on the internet talking their shit, thinking they know it all. Like, they know nothing. Like, who are these guys that think they know something, right? And then you know what I realized? I was like, oh wait, we're doing the same exact thing. So,
Yeah.
so in that moment, I was like, wait, I can't be mad at these guys because I am literally perpetuating that thing that I hate the most with literally this podcast. We're out here shooting a shit about our opinions. We probably don't know what the fuck we're talking about, but we're just sharing our thoughts based on our experiences. So respectfully, number one, you gotta understand most people out there is that like we're just here playing the game. Like end of the day, like I don't think I'm a douchebag. Thomas is definitely not a douchebag as well. Like we say a bunch of dumb things, but we're just having fun. We're just sometimes we do things for clicks, other times we don't do things for the likes and the views. But in a way, there is always the aspect of the game that we are playing. So if we ever offend anyone out there, we apologize. You know, it wasn't what we meant. But also for everyone that's been talking shit about this, respectfully, fuck you. That's all for me.
Yeah, I think you brought up a good point where I'm totally the same way where I scroll throughout social media and someone does or says something, I'm like, oh my God, this person's so annoying. But what I've realized more and more as I've gotten older, and I'm not old by any means, I'm 26, I'm a young head, but I think what I've realized over the years is that I often find myself being annoyed or disliking certain creators because I know that deep down I'm the same. I'm doing the same exact thing, just in like a slightly different flavor. And it's oftentimes maybe that dislike or annoyance for another creator is kind of out of jealousy. It's like, oh shoot, they're doing the same exact thing I'm doing, but they're getting more views, more followers, bigger brand deals. And I think I'm trying to still reconcile that with separating, you know, or it's like, I don't even know what I'm trying to say at this point, but I think that's just something I realized. It's like we're all doing the same thing out here, and these creators that I find annoying, it's just because I know deep down inside that's what I look like to third party people, you know.
Yeah,
and that's a funny thing to grapple with.
I think what's very interesting is that like usually we criticize other people and we like kind of like talk about them, be like, oh, I can't believe they're doing this, doing that, because like we see something of them that we don't like in ourselves, right? That's why we're so critical. Be like, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing this. It's like, oh, this is so stupid. Or just like, you know how like we were criticizing, I mean, the comments that we got, we literally said that to other people as well. It's like, dude, look at this guy's account. Like him or her entire personality is just like, you know, them being XYZ person, right? But then we're just like,
yeah.
But we're the same way too. And that's something that we hated about ourselves. But it's like, end of the day, look, as much as people want to hate, like if you want to talk shit about being a creator, about how creators are just like, oh, you're just this person. All right, I challenge you to go create content yourself. All right. And then if you come create content yourself, you grow to like 100K followers on social media, then come back and tell us what we're doing wrong. All right. Then I'll open my ears and listen to you. But until then, I really don't believe this is a topic that most people out there can be talking about, being like, oh, you're only this personality. It's like, well, yeah, because if we're not this personality, you don't watch us. People want to brand other people what they think in their mind, what they are. And it's just part of the game. It's just part of the game.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, we'll cut this out.
Yeah.
What's your MRR right now for the agency?
I think right now with everything around like 14K, 15K. Roughly.
Oh my God, that's
roughly
crazy.
But that's like 6K in like net income for me, roughly.
That's still so sick.
Now I can sell a fucking course. You know, this is how you achieve financial freedom, guys. Look at me living here with my laptop. You know, traveling around the world. Hell yeah! Don't you want to be like me?
Oh my God. That's huge though. Congrats, man. That is a gigantic number. Like,
thanks.
I think that's so rewarding too. It's like, you have been, I mean this in like a kind way, but like you've been struggling in the entrepreneurial endeavors for what, 2.5 years at this point. And it's like you finally, and what is typically known as this like unsexy business, right? Like a social media agency, it's kind of an unsexy business. And when I say sexy business, I mean drop shipping or like coaching or what is it? It's like tech companies, like creating a SaaS company. Yeah. Like these are all the sexy businesses. Yeah. And social media agencies, like they're not that sexy, but it's just funny and like really humbling, you know. It's like, you know, just forget the noise at the end. It's like if you're trying to create a business, oftentimes the best businesses are in the unsexy businesses, like this right here. So anyways, I'm just super happy because I've been on the sidelines seeing you go through the ringer for the past 2 years, and like you're finally like starting to really hit that success that you've been working so hard for. So just as a friend, I'm super happy to hear and just see like all the success that's coming your way right now. Like you've been in the, like you've been grinding for this, you know.
Dude, I appreciate it. But I feel like I'm at the point right now where it's like, I don't think I made it yet. It is a make or break it point for me right now, right? I signed my first cohort of clients. I need to kill for them. But once I kill for these clients, it is like, all right, the idea has been validated on the market. It also been validated in my head. Right now, it's like I have like a lot of potential energy, and you just need to convert that into like kinetic energy.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, bro. I feel that.
Yeah, but also touche, man. I mean, looking at you, just like in general, like working a job and building on your products, I'm like, I respect like your work-life balance and just trying to like balance both at the same time and launching your products. And dude,
Yeah.
2023, man, this is going to be our year. I'm calling it right now. This Yellow Kings podcast, this is going to kill it. By the way, shout out to our new followers. We're almost at 1,000 followers on TikTok. Like, we love all of you guys. A lot of you guys came up from our K-pop video about talking about Big Bang to anyone being like the goats of all time. That's not what we're all about, but you know what? I love Big Bang. I love 2NE1, so fuck it, dude.
I thought that was going to be a more controversial episode, but everybody in the comments
everyone agreed. Yeah, everyone's like, facts, dude. I think like it was like overwhelmingly positive. Everyone's like, oh yeah, undisputed kings. I'm like, oh, okay. I feel like we were, at least, okay, I'm not really on K-pop TikTok, but I feel like we're one of the first ones to like make that statement, be like, dude, why did no one like give these guys any effort? Because right now everyone's like, because you think about TikTok, right? It's the new generation of K-pop everyone's talking about. Like the older Big Bang to anyone Super Junior is like, no, we're from Facebook, motherfucker. All right.
Yeah.
We're not on TikTok that much.
Yeah. That was pretty interesting. Also, so you had a question that you wanted to ask, like any random shoot the shit question that you had stored up.
Dude. All right. Let's all right, I had two questions. I'll start with a more PC one. What is a weird flex in your industry that you're just like, oh my God. Whenever you hear it, just like, dude, here we go. A weird flex in the investment banking industry, and this is like something that I think everyone knows, but it's like how many hours you work in a week, especially when you're an intern. And it's like, everyone cracks jokes about this, but I'm telling you, it is very real. Like, it is so real that like when you're on the job and you're working like 50 hours a week, okay. Eventually, into a job like a year or two into investment banking, it's actually a flex to work less. But when you first start, the first 6 months, everyone's flexing about who works the most. Like I remember, like I'll go hang out with my coworkers and stuff, or like my banking friends, and we're all just having a dick measuring contest of who works like more hours in a week. Be like, dude, I work 8 hours this week. Dude, like, bro, don't even get me started, man. Like last week, I'm pretty sure I hit 100 hours. Like I've been on like 3 hours of sleep. Or like you'll be in the office and someone be like, they'll walk over to you and just be like, dude, I slept at like 3 a.m. last night. I am so tired. And I'm just like, all right, cool story, man. Like all right, whatever, dude. But eventually, like I said, like it becomes a flex as you can work the least. Like there was this guy in our office, he would leave the office at 5 p.m. every single day and then just
oh
work
my
from home.
God.
Yeah. That was like that's like a sin in investment bank. You leave the office at 5 p.m. That is like a cardinal sin. Okay, you can get fucking zapped down by Zeus at that point to leave the office at 5 p.m.
Insane.
But then he would just work from home, and I was like, it was the biggest flex. It was the biggest flex ever. But yeah, that
was
was
he an analyst or was he an associate?
He's an analyst. He was an analyst.
Holy Jesus, he's a brave soul, dude.
He was a second-year analyst. I mean, a lot of senior managers didn't like him, but he was good at his job. He did what he was expected to do. And honestly, after 5 p.m., you technically don't need to be in the office because, like, I mean, I feel like any white-collar job nowadays, you don't need to be in the office. Like, you can just do it from home, but that's what he wanted to do.
But then when you leave at 5, you don't get meals or Uber comped back.
Yeah, he don't give a shit. This guy didn't invest in his 401k or ROA. His philosophy is
Oh,
like, we're gonna make so much money in the future anyways. I'm just gonna spend all the money right now.
holy shit.
This guy's he's a very interesting personality. Okay, but I actually like him. I actually like him.
Fascinating.
I like him.
Okay.
He's fun. He actually left his job later to also like pursue entrepreneurship endeavors. So you know
Sick.
what? I'll tell you what. I'm kind of same way as him. Obviously, like I haven't worked a job in 2 years. I don't have a 401k. I mean, I do, but it's like I haven't put money in 401k in a very long time, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm not
Yeah.
one to trash on his philosophies in life.
Understandable.
Yeah.
So I know what my weird flex is. So a weird flex in the software engineering world is about which text editor do you use. People don't like to admit this. I've talked about this before, but basically the original text editor. For those of you that don't know, the text editor is where you literally just write text to write your code, and there's a lot of different varieties out there. And the original ones are like not a lot of features in them. They're all text based. You literally can't use your mouse in there. It's called Vim and Emacs, and it's like, and you can customize it to be super powerful. But man, customizing it takes a long time. But people, it's like when you ask someone like, "Hey, what text editor do you use?" and they say, "I use Vim," and then a Vim user, you're talking to a Vim user, and you tell them, "Oh, for example, I use a JetBrains product, or I use VS Code." They're like, "Oh, I guess you don't know how to use a real editor these days, huh?" You need something to hold your hand and handle all the
You need
configuration
something to
for you.
capture semicolons, right? Something
Yo,
to
literally.
add
And
it
I'm
for
just
you.
like, and it's this weird, I think, software engineer elitist thing. I mean, okay, first of all, some people are like chill about it, but a huge portion of them are just like, like you have to use an IDE with all these fancy features. Man, nobody codes anymore these days. Nobody really knows how to build these days. Another weird flex in the software engineering space is the fact that people are so elitist about people that use programs from the command line, like running text commands, versus using a piece of software that has like a GUI in it, like a graphical user interface built into it. An example. So GitHub is where people store all of their code, and it's mostly done through text commands that you enter into your terminal, like git add period and git commit whatever message you want. But then obviously that's not the most intuitive thing out there, and then there are pieces of software that wrap all of these commands into like a pretty interface where you can add all the changes you want and commit and push it. And for some reason, the software engineering space feels like if you are using something that has like a graphical interface attached to it, basically if you're not making your life harder by memorizing all these really obscure commands, like you're not a real software engineer. Like you lose your credibility. And I'm actually thinking of making a TikTok about this, but it's so annoying, that level of like gatekeeping, being like, "Oh, you're not real unless you do things the hard way, the old fashioned way." It's like, dude, it's like you're being a boomer in the tech space by having that mindset.
Dude, okay, I have an apples to apples comparison. It's like in banking, when you're working in Excel, you can't touch the mouse. If you
Oh,
even
yeah.
land your finger on the mouse, it is like, oh, you have to use a mouse to do that
Yeah.
command. When sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, it is faster to use your mouse. Like it is easier, it is faster. Well, Excel, you got to be like, oh, ESF what blah blah HJKQ, and it's like, dude, just click on the button and paint the cell yellow. Like you're fucking pressing down arrow 10 fucking times to get to the yellow shade. Bankers will know exactly what I'm talking about right now. By the way, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's like,
Yeah.
I found it so funny how that was like a big flex in the bank industry, where it's like, dude, even touching your mouse was like a sin. I'm just like, dude, sometimes it's actually faster to use your mouse. So I'll just use my mouse sometimes. I'm just fuck it, whatever, dude. I'm coloring this cell yellow, this one purple and stuff. But no,
I feel that.
it's weird. It's funny. It's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny.
I have a question for you now.
Yeah.
So, how good are you at telling between the different types of Asians?
Oh, I'm so good. I am
Yeah.
so good. Like it's,
So I think we got to narrow this down, because I think it's super easy to tell between like South Asian versus Southeast Asian versus East Asian. But obviously I cannot tell the difference between all the various types of South Asians or Middle East Asians. Cannot tell the difference between them.
No,
I think
I can't.
Southeast Asians also, I have a pretty hard time telling between like Vietnamese people. Well, actually, yeah, I think I also have a hard time telling the difference between Southeast Asian people, like someone from Malaysia or Laos or Thailand or Vietnam, I have a hard time telling that difference. But being East Asian, I am very good at telling the difference between basically the big three East Asian countries: China, Japan, and Korea. So what do you think are
Plus
the defining
Taiwan.
character? Oh shit! I'm
Hey,
sorry.
hey, bro. I'm just kidding.
That was fucked up. That was fucked up of me. But since we're both East Asian, I think we both do a pretty good job at telling the difference between all the other East Asians. What, in your opinion, is the defining characteristics of like a Chinese person, a Japanese person, and then a Korean person? And then also, actually, I don't know if you can. Can you tell the difference between a Chinese and a Taiwanese person?
Okay. I'll answer the second one first. So the difference between a Chinese and Taiwanese person for me is mostly number one, I just talk to them and then I know immediately from the accent. That's the first thing, right? So it's just the accent, right? Taiwanese accent is a very, very significant different accent than a Chinese accent. So it's so obvious immediately like where you're from. But also just like by just pure looks wise, I can't. But then like mostly it's the vibe and the style. Right. That's when I can tell. Okay, if you're Asian American, motherfuckers, yo, Chinese, Taiwanese, we look the fucking same. Doesn't fucking matter. But if you're like from China, from Taiwan, I can tell usually by like the style, like the fashion style. It's pretty obvious to me. Yeah.
What is that specifically?
Dude, I don't even know what it is. Like, I think Chinese people. Okay, I'm gonna get so much flack for saying this, but I feel like Chinese people look more ghetto sometimes.
Oh my god.
Okay, they either look very ghetto or very, very flashy. It's either or, you know. But I think Taiwanese people, we tend to have a more preppy engineering vibe, especially in the States. In Asia, it's a little different because like you get a wide spectrum. But in the States, I feel like most Taiwanese people that come to America are like fucking electrical engineers, Silicon Valley guys. So they tend to look more engineer, more preppy. Well, I think Chinese, you get a wide spectrum, right? You get like the people who immigrate here with no money, and then you get like the rich kids who just like are wearing Balenciagas from like head to toe. So
Yeah.
it's mostly a vibe. I can feel the vibe, and I immediately tell where you are. And then once I talk to you, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, you're from here. Yeah.
Can you give me an example of a phrase of like Taiwanese Mandarin, and then like mainland China Mandarin, and just so that we can see what the difference is? Like, give me a phrase.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, so I'm not that good with my Chinese accent, but like, okay, I'll give you two. Number one, the slangs we use are different as well, right? So for example, in Taiwanese Mandarin, we say trash can, we say 垃圾桶, right? 垃圾桶. But then in China, they say 垃圾桶. Right?
Oh, almost like a different word.
It's a different word almost, right? So it's like a lot of different phrasing and phrases they say is different. For example, like, fuck. What's another one? Try to look around my house.
Just looking around for inspiration.
Yeah, actually. Dude, there's so many. Okay, for example,
What about not a word, but like let's say like the same exact phrase. Like, what's the difference between a mainland China accent and a Taiwan accent?
it's the R. It's the R. So Taiwanese people, we tend to speak very like I like to use the word proper, but it's like when we talk in Mandarin, it's very like we don't slur the words as much, which is very funny because I slur my words a lot, right? But I feel like in China, they use a lot the R, the 准 sir, you know, like there's a lot of the tongue twisting. So for example, if we say Beijing, and Taiwan will say Beijing, but in China, especially if you're from Beijing, I'm very bad at accent, but they'll really twist their Beijing, you know, like they'll really emphasize the R, like a ching, but in Taiwan, it's like Beijing. Right, it's more like flat, but in China they like twisting shit. They like twisting their tongues more. So that's like the immediate like. If I see you twisting your tongues while talking, I'm like, oh, you're from the mainland. But if like,
bro's doing martial arts in his tongues right now, just like speaking.
Like actually. Okay. My question to you: what the fuck's the difference between North Korea and South Korea? The accents. I was watching Crash Landing on You, and then like every single scene, it's like, oh. Your accent's so weird. I'm like, motherfuckers, you guys all sound the same to me.
Dude, oh man. Okay, I'll be honest. I cannot answer that one that well. I think I need to like listen to it a little bit more, or because I agree, it's like it sounds different, but I don't know what exactly is different. But I'll say this: I can tell the difference between like a Seoul Korean accent versus like a Busan Korean accent.
Oh, South and
Super
North.
different.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like the north. So within South Korea, the difference between North and South Korea, because Busan is on the very southernmost tip of Korea, and Seoul is like much more northern. Also, Korean geographers, I'm sorry if I got that wrong. I grew up in America. I'm Korean American to the bone, so I'm sorry if I got my geography messed up.
No, that's correct. I was just
yeah.
there.
Okay, cool. So an example of this is like, it's just so like Busan Korean. It feels very like, honestly, I don't even know what it is, but it's just like it's just how they enunciate things or how they say things. For example, like to say like why in Korean is we, but for some reason, at least this is from what I've seen from like South Korean shows and dramas from people within Busan or portraying characters in Busan. Instead of saying we, they say like wa, like rather than like an eh sound, they do ah. And then like another one is like in Korean, to say like mom or mother, it's 어머니, right? And then for some reason they say it like 어머이. It's like it almost sounds it sounds more sing-songy to me. I can't really
More
tell
country?
what exactly it is. A little bit, yeah. Like I think it's a little bit more like 시골 is like the word for like countryside person. So at least that's what I grew up being told. I don't really know the super difference. I guess it's like the same thing between like Southern English versus like West Coast or like normal, not normal, but like other non-Southern English. You know, it's just very different.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like that's why for me, being Korean American, who grew up with like Seoul Korean, right? It's like it's hard for me. I like to watch Korean dramas to learn Korean and just like train my ear, but it's so hard to do that with Busan Korean accents just because it sounds so different. So it's just like it's hard for me to like digest what they're saying.
Do you have okay. If you went to Seoul, Korea, you have no problem, right? If you went to Busan, do you have a harder time getting around and communicating with people over there? Because like, you're like, what the hell did you just say? Because like the accent's a little more dense, more countryside.
Well, I'll say this: even in Seoul, I would still struggle getting around. I'm not from there. I've been there 5 times in my life. I am very much so a foreigner there, but it is enough where most of the time when someone says something to me, I know what they're saying. I can get around and I can survive. I do think if I went to Busan and I talked to like older folks who grew up and spent their entire lives in Busan, I think I would have a harder time understanding what they're saying, especially if they speak super quickly. And with the Busan accent, I would definitely struggle more in Busan.
Yeah, those bottom tier Koreans, right? They're not
we're cutting that.
They're not top tier like you, right? No, but I feel the same way too. So Taiwanese Mandarin, I have no problem understanding. Like I get around. I mean, I grew up in Taiwan, so obviously, right? I understand completely. But like Chinese, like mainland China Mandarin, holy crap! Sometimes I have no idea what the hell you're saying. No idea. And it's like, so like sometimes when I talk to my girlfriend's parents, I'm just like, dude, I have no idea what you just said there. And I think like my Mandarin's not great, but it's like enough to understand, communicate. But I realize it's like when I speak to people from mainland China, it's like I have a hard time understanding it because like the accent, number one, and number two, like I said, the terminologies they use is different. Let's wrap this up.
30, so.
This is the longest episode yet. But all right, guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Yellow Kings podcast. Let us know. Do you guys struggle with like accents, etc.? And also, shout out to everyone that's listening to this episode. I think we finally can have our link in bio in TikTok, which is like super exciting to us. So we probably will start getting people coming over to our YouTube, coming over to our Spotify, and listening to our podcast. If you listen to this full episode, I fucking love you. Like, let us know anything you guys want to talk about. Actually, you feel free to drop in the comments, DM us. Like, we're all very open to like conversation topics. But yeah. Other than that, we'll catch you guys in the next one.